On today's Buckeye Roast, the transfer portal chaos is coming, and we will ask the question, is this going to be the craziest portal season ever? Then the debate, is Fran Brown the best available coach in America right now? Change our minds. We'll also play a little what if. This year's offense with last year's defense, or last year's offense with this year's defense? Which team wins? Plus, we'll carve out Penn State's Mount Rushmore of disappointment, break down what happened to their offense, and celebrate the urban victory bell once again ringing in Columbus. I'm Kris Drew, and I'll be joining Ron today on this morning's edition of the Buckeye Roast. Make sure you like
That's that get back. That's that get back. You feel me? You feel me?
Good morning. We are back for another episode of the Buckeye Roast. It's your boy Ron James here with my guy
Kris Drew. That's me, dog. I'm so glad we're doing this. Obviously, we do not do enough content together, so being here with my guy, like I'm maybe your biggest fan, so it's like a little warm in here.
Likewise, we have lots to get into, but I wanted to start with a topic. Kris, I started a little bit of a stir on Twitter today with a take that I give all the time, but it's,
Awesome.
it's fun to recycle takes and people get to see them online. And someone had a tweet that said, "Who is the greatest high school athlete you've ever played against or watched in person?" Anyone who watches this show knows the answer to this question because it's the reason why I am a Buckeye fan. I grew up about 15 minutes away from where Terrell Pryor went to high school, and I got to see him play my high school every year in football and also twice a year in basketball. And that's why I contend that Terrell Pryor is the greatest high school athlete that we have ever seen. He was the number one rated college football prospect in the country and the number 39 ranked high school basketball prospect. Number 38 in that class in basketball was Amon Shumpert. Number 53 was Meg the Stallion's boyfriend, Clay Thompson.
I mean, dude, like, I agree. Like, I mean, I never saw him live, but to act like Terrell Pryor wasn't one of the coldest high school athletes ever, I think is really disingenuous and just shows that you don't have ball knowledge. Like, TP was crazy.
Some of the names that I saw thrown out there were Cam Newton, Ron Curry, this guy, Kris, I think he's from where you're from. LeBron James, have you ever heard of him?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Okay, yeah, that guy. But the whole Ron Curry argument, people were coming at me like it was like some slam dunk argument that like Ron Curry was a better high school athlete. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm not. But I'm going to try to be humble and pretend like I'm not. But you know what I mean? I'm not up on Ron Curry games, so I went and checked bro's stats. All I know is Terrell Pryor was an NFL quarterback and has more 1,000-yard receiving seasons in the NFL. I rest my case.
Yeah. Easy, dude. TP was one of the coldest ever, bro, because like first of all, he's a quarterback, number one player in the country, but he also played both ways in high school, obviously. I think he played
defensive end. Fun story. So Terrell Pryor played my high school his senior year. They won 77-6. I watched him come off the edge at defensive end and fall in the backfield. Our running back had to have been, 6 yards upfield at this point. Took it. Everybody thought, man, he's going for a touchdown. He's the leading rusher, one of the leading rushers in the state. Terrell Pryor hawks this man down 60 yards and tackles him at the 4, and they don't let them score.
Yeah, dude.
It was just different. When they played us in basketball, this man was throwing alley-oops off the backboard to himself with Jim Tressel in attendance.
That's fried. That's so fried. Dude, he's one of the coldest athletes ever, man. And like I'm a big TP guy because I always contend that like Troy Smith made it cool to play quarterback at Ohio State. TP made it rock star status to play quarterback at Ohio State because that's kind of the dynamic athlete that he was. So I'm a big TP guy. You getting arguments out of me. And also, just real quick, those red uniforms that they wore at Ohio State when they played Michigan when TP was there with that script too, most underrated uniform in Ohio State history. Easy.
Crazy. Kris, I wanted to get your thoughts on this topic. Who is the best high school athlete that you ever saw in person or played against?
Honestly, like I didn't really play against a ton of really great athletes. I played
Neither did
rugby and
I.
baseball. So not a ton of great athletes, but I got to see Pete Nance play, and I saw him drop a triple-double in the first half, Pete Nance Jr., before obviously he went on to go to play for Northwestern. I got to see Paris Campbell. Every time he touched the ball at St. V, he scored. That was fried, and it was crazy watching him run away from literally everybody. I got to see Garyon Conley. But I mean, I think probably Paris, I would say, in terms of like kind of in my area guys that I got to go see. So probably Paris.
Yeah, I mean, you did not see any LeBron growing up, or how old were you
No,
when LeBron was in high school?
dog. Like I was born in '96, and I didn't move to Akron until I was like 4 or 5.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah. So I
yeah,
missed Braun. I mean, I've seen LeBron play in person, but not in high school.
yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. And like also like by the time I would have been old enough to appreciate it, like so many of St. V's games were like national games.
Yeah,
Okay.
he played a full national schedule.
Yeah. So I saw LaMelo Ball play in high school.
Okay, at Spire?
Yeah, he played at Spire. Spire's in Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I saw them play St. V, and that was crazy. I felt like I was watching one of the Beatles play, dude. That was nuts.
I mean, LaMelo had the combination of being that highly touted prospect and also having that internet fame, given all of the success that his brothers had and the Facebook show. That was crazy that they had that back in the day. But and talk about recruiting rankings being all over the place. What were they doing with LaMelo Ball back then? Easily one of the best players in that class, but they just wanted to punish LeVar at that point.
Dude, I never saw like an effortless like 25 and 10 in my life the way he did it. He was out there just chilling, dude. And like you look up and he's got 25 and they beat St. V by like 40. And you're like, wow, okay. And St. V at the time had like 3 guys that went on to be D1, one guy that ended up being a Buckeye. Like they made light work out of it. And that was when he was in high school. So like that probably is going to be my answer.
Absolutely. Kris, I wanted to pivot a little bit. That was enough basketball talk, high school talk. We're here to talk Buckeyes in college football. So let's get into it.
Play the damn song. Hey guys, we got a lot of cool stuff going on the channel right now, so make sure you like and subscribe. Obviously, Ron and Q are doing a great job going daily for the Buckeye Roast, and then me and Tyler are sprinkled throughout the week doing all things Ohio sports. The channel hit 3,000 subs super quickly, and we couldn't do that without you guys, and we want to continue to grow. So make sure you like and subscribe, and we appreciate you guys as always. What does my little brother do? He goes, peace. Who's that guy? Who recorded that?
I don't know. I've never seen him before, but we appreciate the sponsors. I think he's in HR over here at Dead Air Sports. Yeah. Kris, plenty to get into today. I wanted to start with the transfer portal. I was watching the Downs to Business podcast, Caleb Downs podcast with his brother, and I'm just sitting there watching him talk to Julian Sane. And Julian Sane told the story about his first ever meeting at Alabama was the Saban announcing that he was retiring. And they said that Saban made the announcement to the team while incoming freshmen's parents were still on campus. And it just made me think, with the amount of open jobs, the last graphic that we used on the show, it was at 12. And that doesn't account for how many jobs are going to come open when people leave teams and how many jobs could still come open if fans start continuing to bring signs that the networks are zooming into that say fire their current coach. It feels like ESPN is complicit in some of these coaching firings. But when you look around college football, when I see coaches getting fired, the first thing that I'm doing is looking at the roster of kids that Ohio State has offered and looking at their current class for kids that Ohio State has offered. Could this be the craziest year that we see in the transfer portal era with the amount of coaching changes that we are about to see at not just Power 4 universities? We're talking about top 15 jobs in the country available in this cycle, multiple.
Yeah, I mean 100%, because like when you have these top 15 jobs open, coaches that fill them are likely from like top 30 jobs. And so you're going to get the ripple effect portal stuff. And then there's so much uncertainty also. Like this is going to be one of the more aggressive portal seasons. Definitely ever. Like I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like in my head, I think I've got Trinidad Chambers, like 3 different schools next year, because he's a guy that like likely is going to be on the go when Lane Kiffin goes. Like Lagway, I know he said I'm a Florida Gator, man, but like there's gonna be people calling for him. I know there's some interest there. I mean, we're getting to a point where like now when rumors are started about coaches are freaking out trying to shut the door on the rumors because they don't want guys in their own room to leave. I mean, the whole Steve Sarkisian thing. Like Steve Sarkisian the day of game day, it got reported that he was interested in Tennessee job. He freaked out, and Jimmy Sexton issued a statement for the first time that I remember because they can't risk losing players. So no, it's going to be ridiculous. I mean, portal season, because I think 3 top 10 to top 15 jobs are open, and those 3 schools that are open all have recruited at least one top 8 class the last 3 years. So we're talking about some huge jobs opening up, creating some huge portal movement.
And we can speculate a little bit about potential jobs. I mean, some people say it's crazy. You listen to the Cover 3, they won't even entertain the Dan Lanning to LSU conversations. But if you factor in a Sarkisian to the NFL mixed with a Dan Lanning moving to the SEC, I don't think you'll ever see a portal filled with this much talent. How much do you expect these players in those scenarios to follow their coach? Or do you think you'll see scenarios where Dan Lanning leaves a roster full of talent up for grabs into the national landscape?
I think Dan Lanning's a unique case because I think if he leaves, it'll be like when Lincoln Riley left for USC. I think he'll take a good. You'll be able to tell who Dan Lanning likes because those guys will go with him. But some guys will go follow their coaches. Other guys, I think, will chase stability. Like there's a lot of players that if they're entering their final year, they probably don't want to go be a part of a rebuild. And that's where like places like Indiana, Ohio State, Vanderbilt, Illinois,
Georgia.
like schools like that benefit because like in a world full of chaos, like they are the pillars that are stable. And I think it benefits the Big Ten. I don't want Dan to go to LSU. I want Dan to stay in the Big Ten because I think the SEC is crumbling. They've lost control of some things. And the last thing I want for them to have is a Nick Saban to their Kirby Smart, which I think Dan Lanning could be. I'd rather him just stay put in the Big Ten and let things fall apart. That way, talent ends up coming to the Big Ten rather than leaving the Big Ten to go to the SEC personally. But that's like my own like subdivision of like idea flow, I guess.
Nah, man, get Dan Lanning out of there. Dorian,
Dorian
Brew, Trey McNutt, come on home.
So
come on home.
you want Dan Lanning up out of there?
Absolutely.
I don't, dude.
He can go to that inferior conference. Dan Lanning is not going to save the SEC.
No, he's not. But here, part of my thing is, I think Ryan Day is so great at entering like his like Picasso, like Mona Lisa level. I think he's going to be the coach that holds a thumb down on Dan Lanning. Like you can never grow as long as I'm here. You're not going to get to run amok here. I worry. I think at LSU he could run amok because I don't believe in Kirby. I think Kirby's got a bad hiring process. I need someone to keep the thumb on Dan Lanning, and that person to me is Ryan Day. And then additionally, another thumb, Cignetti. So I like him where he's at. He can't hurt me from there in there. He's in like the Phil Knight testing tube. He can't harm me. I think he can harm me at LSU.
I mean, I think he can harm you in your conference. I don't know, man. I would like to see him get out of there and have to press the reset button because I feel like this is an opportunity. We talk about this transfer portal and all the available talent. The Buckeyes are staring down the barrel of a potential national championship repeat, and they're going to be bringing back a ton of talent next year. Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sane, Brandon Ennis looks to return almost the entire offensive line, both backs. You see the depth at wide receiver in the young guys behind him, Quincy Porter, Mylan Graham, Chris Henry Jr. gets here. You're going to lose your linebacker duo. Could you persuade Jermaine Matthews to come back and try to elevate his draft stock and see Jermaine Matthews paired out there with Devin Sanchez? Jalen McClain's already showing that he's a stud at at safety. A few holes, and the Buckeyes are rolling. And you look at the linebackers that are next up. You have Riley Pettijohn, another freak show linebacker. TJ Alford, another freak show linebacker. And Peyton Pierce is already playing significant minutes for the Buckeyes. The Buckeyes seem prime if they're able to get it done for a repeat. Could we see? Would it be the first three-peat in college football history?
It would be the first one that I remember, and then I think so. And then the other part of that is it would be the first repeat in modern college football with two different quarterbacks. I've been tracking that very closely, very, very closely. In the history of college football, at least modern history, there has not been a repeat that was two different quarterbacks. The repeats have been one guy, Stetson Bennett, AJ McCarron. Like those are the repeats. This would be Will Howard and Julian Sane, which makes it increasingly more rare, which is why I don't need Dan Lanning in Oregon doing the fusion dance with LSU. Just stay there. No fusion dances.
Well, Kris, perfect time to do a little bit trivia for people that tune into the show. Kris, I don't know how much you watch. If you've seen this, and we've discussed it a ton, I'm looking for the first college football three-peat ever, and it includes my favorite year in college football history. The Minnesota Gophers allegedly had a three-peat in 1934, 1935, and fans of the show know why this can't be a legitimate three-peat, because they also have them listed as the 1936 national champion, and everybody knows who the real 1936 national champions in college football were, and that was the Slippery Rock Rockets. So I don't know where they got their information, and how dare Minnesota claim a three-peat, because it's an illegitimate one. Everyone knows the national champion in 1936 was 6-3 Slippery Rock.
Shout out Fleck for taking that from you. I'll blame PJ Fleck. It's got to be PJ's ball-headed fault, man.
It has to be PJ Fleck's fault. But the whole reason why I bring up this transfer portal situation and all of the movement, because I was going to put out a tweet the other day, and I'm trying to tone down my Twitter, but I was going to say, I don't care.
Why are you trying to tone it down?
Because the tweet was a little bit crazy, and it popped right into my head too fast, and I was like, I'm going to send this one off and regret it. And I was essentially going to say, I don't want to hear any excuse about money. If the Buckeyes win a national championship, there better be no expense spared. There better be no rule followed when it comes to acquiring talent for this three-peat. I said, I don't care if Ross Bjork has to start selling bricks to get this class paid for. I do not care. If they win a national championship, the Buckeyes should risk the entire empire to make it happen.
Yeah. You know what I was
when you're returning a guy like Sane and Jeremiah Smith, how often do you return that much talent?
You don't. You never do. And God forbid one of the freak shows decides to return as well. You don't return that much talent. But I was told that the money thing is way over dramatized on Twitter than it actually is in the real world.
No, I'm actually referring more to the cap situation. If the Buckeyes feel like they need to buy cap, so while the money will be there, but okay, are we going to say we can't spend XYZ on this many players because of the cap? And I'm like, no. How about we win a third national championship and let the accountants and the lawyers handle that on the back end? And I would imagine you let me know in the comments. Do you think the Buckeyes should be the first ones to be following the rules on this cap situation, or should they, do what they need to do and ask for forgiveness later?
Ask for forgiveness later. I mean, shoot, Ron. We got NBA teams doing cap circumvention. We could do it here. It's way looser rules. Absolutely. Make sure everybody has exactly what needs to come get in. Period. I don't the cap is a fake cap anyway. It's a glass cap. I mean, it's the rules that were put in place are not going to hold up in any kind of court anyway, which is why no one's going to even fight it. Go spend to have the best roster. And I said this with Tyler. You've got a chance right now to be the New York Yankees. Go do it. Go do it.
You got to think about the generation of kids watching this. If you decide to run off a dynasty post Nick Saban, that's laying the groundwork for the next generation.
That is laying the. I mean, that big as a Super Bowl, dog. If you're able to capture this exact moment, if you're able to, it's like a cornering on a Monopoly board. if I'm able to catch this moment in time, I'm going to be good for a long, long time. And I do think that like the NFL, side of it that Ohio State brings is really important. They're kind of like Alabama in that front. I think Ryan Day's got a unique chance to do the school rehab. Obviously, I want to give you flowers for your take on that, on the whole Billy Napier thing. If Brian were to go somewhere, and you've got like the NFL coordinators, like this has a chance to really capture and corner the market. And if they start ripping them off, bro, and start making college football not fun, like all those kids, all the best kids are going to want to come to Ohio State, and they already do. They already do is the cool part. So I don't know, man. Like I think you and I maybe were some of the first early adopters on like Ryan's about to go to a dynasty mode, and we got kind of ridiculed for it at first. I think more and more people are saying that, like, oh shoot, like this version of college football is geared towards Ryan.
We did an episode, 2 years ago on Buckeye BS about Ryan Day did not inherit a Lamborghini from Urban Meyer, and you could argue that Ryan Day has elevated the program post Urban Meyer, and people were like, we're 2 losses into Michigan. We've lost a national championship. Like, Cal McCord's about to be our starting quarterback. Like, what are you guys talking about? And you're seeing the groundwork that he laid, and I'm not going to lie and pretend like I didn't get impatient throughout the process, but clearly he had a vision for what he wanted this program to be, and you're watching it play out in 4K right now with great success and the opportunity of a dynasty in front of him, looking like he has a generational defense in front of him. The last question I had in regards to the transfer portal before we move on, you have a magic ticket, a Willy Wonka type of golden ticket that allows you to guarantee one player in the transfer portal, Kris. Are you selfishly picking a player that you'd like to see as a Buckeye, or are you picking someone to make the team better? And who would that player be?
What if it's both? Like one player that I can guarantee hits the portal and becomes a Buckeye?
Yes.
Isn't the answer Dylan Stewart?
For every rational person, and I'm just still like, man, I can't believe we didn't land Vernell Brown. You imagine they're like, we're all in the wood in. They're like, all right, Ron, go drop off the ticket, turn it into the league office. Who we getting? I'm over there with my pencil. I erased Dylan Stewart. They're like, what are you doing? We have 90 wide receivers. I'm like, never have too many. You can never have too many.
You're so fried. The answer is Dylan Stewart in a heartbeat. Oh my God, that was actually fried as hell.
Like, you can't trust this SFE guy with anything.
That is so funny. It's like, oh yeah, like I'll just take Arch Manning to back up Julian. Like we'll just,
keep the pressure off Julian. Have Arch sit on the bench and look pretty down there.
Yeah, we'll take Arch as the backup. Fried. No, the answer is Dylan Stewart. It's got to be Dylan Stewart. That's good.
All right, Kris.
I like Vernell. I like Vernell.
I wanted to pivot to a more serious conversation and take. Fran Brown is the best available coach in college football right now. Changed my mind.
Okay, what classifies as available? Like,
if you are hiring, I will rephrase that. If you have a head coaching vacancy in college football, Fran Brown should be your number one option.
Okay, so I'm assuming that we're talking about available. We're talking about like tier 2 jobs to make the leap to tier 1, right?
I'm talking. I had the option to hire anybody, I'm taking Fran Brown right now. If I'm at LSU, if I'm at Florida, if I'm at Penn State, and I can get Fran Brown, I'm taking Fran Brown. And I feel like go ahead.
Fran Brown over Brom?
Taking Fran Brown over everybody. We've watched him win the big game. We watch him have the personality. We know how important personality is in college football. We've watched him coach at some of the best universities. He's coached under Schiano. He's coached at Georgia. I want Fran Brown.
I like Fran. That's a big hill, though. That's a really big hill, and I don't know if I'll die on that hill because I think I would take. I don't know, Ron. I think I would take Lane at Florida over him. I think it's a good time to be a Lane Kiffin. I think that I can save Lagley with Lane Kiffin. I think if I go to LSU, I call Arch, see what's up. I think Lane. I think
All
Lane's
right.
a better available coach right now.
Was Lane coaching college football last year?
Yes,
Was Fran Brown coaching college football last year?
they were. Yes.
Did Lane Kiffin have a first-round pick at quarterback?
Yes.
Did Fran Brown's quarterback lead college football in passing last year?
He did do that. He did do that. But also, like, here we go.
What's Fran Brown do with Jackson Dart?
Don't do that. Absolutely. No, absolutely not. Don't do that. Don't do that. No. Western Kentucky had the leading passer in the country for a bunch of years. Like, they threw the ball over there. They sprayed it. So what?
Fran Brown took Kyle McCord and beat Cam Ward last year.
He did do that, but here we go. So did Brent Key.
That's fair.
Here's the thing. Lane Kiffin, there's never been a bad quarterback on a Lane Kiffin Ole Miss team. Never. Even though they haven't had great quarterbacks, it's never been a liability. So I just trust Lane a little bit more.
What's more impressive? Winning with Kyle or what Lane has done?
Matt Corral's year at Ole Miss was more impressive than the Kyle McCord year. That's what I'll die.
No.
I will die on that. Right? And Matt Corral is ass, isn't he?
Absolutely.
I mean, and look, Trinidad Chambliss, backup quarterback to open up the year, and he's been dominating. Yeah, dude.
I'm looking at it. Fran's 43, Lane's 50. Are people overlooking this? Obviously,
people are overlooking Fran Brown.
This is not the number one choice, obviously. You have Dan Lanning's out there. Allegedly. Yeah. Not allegedly. According to the Oregon fans. You obviously have Lane Kiffin and what he has proven in the sport. But when I bring up Fran Brown in the scenario, I think about the criteria that he fits. And remember how I always say that let Mike Tomlin come to college football. He's winning everything. He may not be the greatest X and O's guy, but I feel like being a motivator can take you pretty far in college athletics if you know how to hire. Fran Brown has the pedigree. He's been at some big-time universities. He's been around and worked under some of the greatest coaches in college football. He's a young guy. He's a guy that's not afraid to throw the ball downfield, and he can recruit. And I feel like he checks the boxes of all the things that people say they want in their coaching hire. He's just at Syracuse right now. And if I'm looking around and you hear all of these teams talk about, oh, man, we're now every time a new job comes open, the available coach that we're able to get moves down a tier based on where we rank as far as pedigree of available jobs opening right now. If I'm an AD, I'm pulling the trigger on Fran Brown if I'm anywhere that has an opportunity, because who knows the way this. I can guarantee one thing. There is going to be at least one top 15 job that gets filled by someone that should not have that job because of how many jobs are open right now. And you're going to see a domino effect of good jobs and not good candidates available. And I think someone is going to end up with a lemon of a coach. And to avoid that opportunity, I would go lock up Fran Brown if I didn't think that I was able to get Urban Meyer or Dan Lanning.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely can kind of stand by that. And one of the things I'll say is that, like, I think Fran to a ripple effect job makes a lot of sense. Like, if Rhett Lashley decides he wants to take a job and Fran wants to go to SMU, that'd be crazy. You'd have a ton of money. You'd be in a hotbed.
You think Fran is still on that tier of a job? You don't think this is an opportunity for Fran to elevate into one of those top 15 types of jobs? Or do you think that SMU is a top 15 type of job?
So I think SMU is like just a smidge, like it's like just a tier below like A&M, because they've got like so much money and they're in a really weak conference that if they get going, they could be really dominant. So I think SMU is a really great job. They're just underrated right now because they haven't really had the success as of late, but they could be a job that's like a quick turnaround, and they are a high floor, high ceiling job. And right now, I don't know how high the ceiling is at Syracuse, but I was going to say that like Ole Miss would be cool with Fran Brown. I think it might be too frat boy for Fran culture fit wise. Like I don't love that fit for him, and I don't think boosters will be as patient with him, and that's more of like if you know, you know kind of thing. And I think you and I both know. You're shaking your head no.
Yeah, I'm not sending Fran Brown to Mississippi. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we both are kind of on that same wavelength. I mean, I think honestly, like I think Fran back in the SEC could do some damage though. Like it doesn't really get traction, but like Fran to Arkansas would be crazy. Florida won't give him a shot. I don't think. That.
Who ends up with a better job then? Because you keep saying these names with Fran, and I'm surprised that we're this low in tier. Do you think that James Franklin, or if Fran Brown were to move jobs this cycle, do you think he would end up with a better job than James Franklin or a worse job than James Franklin?
Well, I think James is getting the Virginia Tech job.
So then where do you think, would you say Arkansas is a better job than Virginia Tech?
They're probably pretty similar. Arkansas is probably slightly better. More NIL. Yeah, I think Arkansas is probably slightly better. For football?
I mean, it seems like most of their NIL seems to be going to a former Kentucky basketball coach.
Yeah, I mean, no, definitely that. But no, they have enough NIL on the football side. There's nobody believed in that coach. Like, nobody believed in that staff. So I think who else? Like, honestly, like, it might sound messed up, or I don't know, but like, Fran to Nebraska would be something I would sign up for.
And see, I guess that's where we differ, because like, if you're hiring a coach tomorrow and your options are Fran Brown or Matt Rule, who are you taking? Because
I'm taking Fran, but I think like I'm looking at it from the stance of like we also know a little bit too much about how Penn State operates.
But yeah, I'm not even talking about Penn State. I'm just talking about in general. Like, I feel like you look at if Nebraska goes from Matt Rule to Fran Brown, I think you're looking at like a Brian Kelly, Marcus Freeman type of upgrade. Like, you know what I mean? You're getting the old guard of college football out of here and bringing in what the face of the new version of college football looks like. And I'm interested to see where Fran lands, just because I don't know, man. I see a lot of these names and I'm like, okay, even if I'm wrong that Fran's maybe not the coach that I think he is, I'd much rather go down swinging for the fences with a guy like Fran Brown than a stick in the mud like Matt Rule or one of these other names that have just been like meh at lower middle tier programs. Like I'm always for if you're not going to get a Hall of Famer, you might as well try to find the next one.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Marcus Freeman, because I think like there's something like to be like a cutting edge, like hot shot, like high energy motivator that's a defensive guy. I think like that's probably a good alignment. I personally, if I'm an AD, I like him more than James Franklin. I like him more than Matt Rule. I probably trust him at a program a little bit more. I would be more excited to hire him than Matt Campbell. I'd be more excited to hire him than like Jeff Brom. So like that group.
What about Dillingham?
I think Dilly needs to stay out west where the pressure's real light. I don't think that I would prefer Fran over Dilly. And the other part of it is like I know Dilly's like an offensive minded guy and he's always going to have his hands all over the offense. I'm a believer that you need like a mature coach that's willing to take a step back from the offense, and Fran being a defensive guy fits that bill. And then also so I don't know, have we ever talked about who the greatest coach of all time is in college or pro football? Like me and you?
No.
Probably not. So Nick Saban isn't my greatest coach ever. Pete Carroll is. So it's like I like the guys that are defensive guys, but like really coach with like more youthful energy rather than like sage energy. And so like when I think about guys like that, I think about like young Nick Saban, like the LSU version. And then that's what I think like Fran Brown's kind of cut from in terms of like energy and like catalyst and like hot shot. But yeah, that's my bizarro like college football hot take.
I'm so disappointed in that take.
Why?
Because it's so disrespectful, because the correct answer is a coach from that same era.
Who?
Give me Tress. Come on, man. He fell on the sword twice for us.
Yeah, no, I love Tress. I love Tress. And here we go. I'll go a step further. Not only is Pete Carroll the best college coach ever, I think Pete Carroll's the best coach, period, ever. Huh?
Best coach ever?
Here we go. I think
he threw the ball with Russell Wilson on the goal line.
He did do that shit. But I think he's better than prime Nick Saban, I guess, is my stance. And you know why? You know, my big
It's
argument
interesting
is,
that you brought this up because someone posted on the Dead Air Sports community wall about this when we talked about the next Saban era, and they said you can't even talk about Ryan Day in the Saban era until he elevates himself past the Pete Carroll spot where they allege that he is at now, then the Urban with multiple, and then the Dynasty with Saban. And it's like I responded to him and I was like, that's fair, but I don't even know how you could put Pete in that lowest tier because who knows what he would have done if he'd stayed in the sport. And if you put him in the NIL era, you'd have USC's starting quarterback living at the Bop House.
Just a step further, who knows what Pete would have done if the SEC offices were in his city. Like Nick Saban got to run amok and do whatever at Alabama. Allegedly. Pete Carroll didn't get to run amok, and he was on. If Pete Carroll was at Bama, they might have never lost a football game. Allegedly.
But I mean, are you alleging that they were doing less cheating at USC than they were at Alabama?
I've seen.
Or are you just saying that they just got caught more?
No. I'm saying they did less cheating. Look, I'm just saying I've seen a picture of the Alabama parking lot before NIL. I ain't never seen no shit like that, and I cover pro sports.
Kim Kardashian's ex-husband is a billionaire, and she was dating Reggie Bush, if that gives you the context of the type of money he was making in college.
His family was
Come on now, bro. You want to tell me they weren't cheating? Reggie Bush bagged Kim K in college.
They were cheating. I can acknowledge that. But if it was in the SEC, nobody would have said anything. Johnny Manziel was telling people that his family were billionaires, and everyone was just like, okay, and then kept it pushing.
That is one of the greatest scams we've ever seen in college football. Well, where do you get all that money from? Oh, my dad has an oil well.
Yeah, and nobody double-checked it. Where was Pablo Torre?
Where was Pablo when you needed him? Kris, I wanted to pivot a little bit. I put a note in the show about an interesting topic that I heard again on the Downs to Business podcast. I bring that podcast up on here a lot because Q asked me early in the season when that podcast launched, like, are you going to watch that? And I was super dismissive. Like, I thought it was going to be, I'm not going to lie, I thought it was going to be pretty boring. It's one of my favorite pieces of Ohio State content that gets produced out there. And to see them talk to the players on the team, I feel like they get more access than our actual media does on that podcast, getting to see, Lorenzo and Sonny's talk for almost an hour together. Julian Sane was on there yesterday, and they asked Julian an interesting question that I wanted to ask you as well. He proposed a hypothetical matchup of this year's Ohio State offense paired with last year's Ohio State defense against Ohio State's offense last year versus this year's defense. And initially, I was like, I don't know, man. But I feel like there's a pretty clear answer here. So, Kris, I'm going to ask you which one you have in that matchup.
The side with this year's defense. 1,000%.
Absolutely.
1,000%.
See, and it's not, and that's the answer. And I don't even think that's the reason why it's the answer.
Well, the answer is who's calling the other defense?
Oh, not even that.
What's the answer?
Well, if you have Jim Knowles, I'm taking Matt P all day. The question that I was going to ask is, I'm not like, I love this year's offense.
But Q and Trey?
Q, Trey, Emeka? Like, what are we talking about?
No,
like
that was
the running game is just so unfair on that other team. I would have to go with last year's offense with this year's defense. And I mean, this year's defense is insane. But I ask you a hypothetical, Kris. Cam asks me this question all the time when we talk about this year's defense versus last year's defense. Which one's better? Which one's more historic? And we'll see. Last year's defense is national championship defense. This team is 7-0, and that's all they've accomplished so far. So when you look at these two teams, do you think last year's defense could be just as dynamic as this one if they would have had Matt Patricia as the play caller?
I don't think so. I think there's one guy that needed a year of improvement and is playing every snap now. And I think Arvo Reese is the best Ohio State linebacker maybe I've ever seen. So no, I think he is so incredibly dynamic, and he can do all things. And he is kind of unlocked this defense, I believe. And I'll take the trade off what he's added versus like what Lathan kind of like the him versus Lathan, like different style of meanness. I'll take this style of meanness over that one. So no, it would have been better, but not is this electric.
And how would you line up your corners against this year's offense?
How would I line up last year's corners or this year's corners?
Last year's corners versus this year's offense, and then this year's corners versus last year's.
so this year's corners versus last year's, I have to put Igbinosun on Jeremiah. I have to put Jermaine in the slot. Like, you got to go get a Mecca. And then Devin Sanchez, you gotta go take Carnell Tate out of the game. Like, that's right. That's the right answer. Like, am I tripping?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think that's a good one. I mean, your other option is Lorenzo Styles on Emeka Egbuka, and it doesn't seem like
I'm sorry,
you can't do that. You've seen there's not many people in the NFL that can do it. Are we asking Lorenzo in his first year at nickel to do it? I don't think that's fair.
No, and like for me at least, like you said, like I just need my most NFL. I guess I need my most NFL ready guy on my most NFL ready guy. Like, that's the matchup. And then you hope that like Devin Sanchez, it doesn't get targeted enough, or that like he's able to use his length to kind of create a look off. Because I mean, but that would honestly, that's probably the most equal matchup. But it would be like Pika Powers, Devin, if like against Pika Powers Cornell. But and then the other way, and then I got to do last year's corners versus this year's.
Hancock, Igbinosun, and Denzel Burke, or if you want to find a way to use Jermaine in there, he is available to you.
Okay, so I'm gonna have Iggy on Jeremiah again, just because of the size and the athleticism, and that's the kind of the best bet. Gonna get a lot of DPIs, don't care. And then I'm going to have to. I mean, it's tricky, right? Because I need Jordan Hancock out there to either get on Brandon Ennis or Max Clare, take one of them away, and then I'm sorry, Denzel Burke. I got to go Jermaine Mathis on the other side. Big dog.
Jermaine, you're putting Jermaine on Carnell?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Pimp. I can't.
And then you can put Denzel on BI.
Yeah, I guess Denzel on BI. I don't even know, though, because Denzel was getting Oregon boys paid. Denzel got Dylan Gabriel drafted. I don't know.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that to Denzel.
No, my bad. No, I like Denzel.
Jim Knowles put Denzel in a position to get Oregon boys paid.
My God. See, hey, look, and y'all know that like Denzel was the person I had the closest relationship with on the team last year. I love Denzel. Shout out Zell. Got a poster I'm going to put up of him at some point. Show Zell.
Absolutely. Kris, I wanted to pivot a little bit. The Buckeyes have a big matchup this week against Penn State, but I don't want to talk about that game. I want to talk about the last 3 years at Penn State, because I've been covering Ohio State for the last 3 years, so it's probably the most intensely I've followed Penn State football in my entire life. I feel like I've watched a lot of these guys in this system since they were high school recruits, and been following the expectations and hype around this program for a lot of these guys that are there, between Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, Drew Aller, the coordinators, and Jim Knowles, and Andy Kotelnicki, James Franklin, all of the expectations around this program the last 3 years. And it felt like we were building up to an Ohio State-like moment this year, as far as bringing all of these guys back for the final year to make that one big push to go out and get the splash higher in coordinators. And then I don't even think, if you brought a time traveler to this StreamYard studio 4 months ago and told us what happened, even showed us video of what happened, we would say they have to get AI under control, because this is ridiculous. There's absolutely no way this could happen. I need your Penn State Mount Rushmore of disappointment in over the last 3 years. What are the things that you feel like failed this program in the last couple of years the most? Because I look at this matchup, and Q and I went over the statistics between Katron Allen and Nick Singleton against the Buckeyes, and none of them have ever put together a signature performance in that game. And you have a guy like JT2 who has a statue in front of Beaver Stadium now in a game that's not even a rivalry that he's been able to take over. it just seems like so much disappointment from so many different angles. You could even talk about the wide receiver room. So many different things feel like they've went wrong at Penn State. What would you point to as the biggest factors in the disappointment that we've seen from this Penn State program in the last 3 years?
Well, I want to start with something that I don't think I've heard anybody talk about. They didn't extend Jaywan Sider, and he was the running backs coach at Penn State. He goes to Notre Dame, and that Notre Dame duo is the best duo in the country. And the duo at Penn State looks like they fell off a cliff, Ron. Like, Nicholas looks like he forgot how to run a football. He looks like a character in Space Jam that got his powers taken. Like, that ain't Nicholas Singleton. That's a wannabe lookalike. Like their running back group fell off a cliff. And to me, when you start there, isn't that where the whole fracture in the identity of Penn State lies? Isn't that it? Isn't that the move a year or two ago that led to the breaking apart of this? Because without the run game, dog, like those running backs falling off a cliff that way makes the offensive line look bad. They can't do anything play action wise, and their identity, which you all are supposed to be game control, hand the ball off, and take deep shots. And when you can't run the ball like with basic stuff, then Andy Kotelnicki leads for him to like turn into some like Willy Wonka character, but he thinks he's Einstein, trying to like build out these run games. Like the whole thing fell apart because this run game became awful, and it became like it's like we always say as Ohio State fans, like we won't be able to run the ball when everyone else knows we're going to run the ball, and then like. The other part of that is like Penn State can't run the ball even when teams think they're going to throw the ball. So that is like number one.
Well, half the problem is their leading rusher in a couple of games was Drew Aller. What are we doing?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And like, why does that happen? Because your running back room fell off a cliff. And I heard somebody talk about these running backs looked overcoached. And this was like one of the James Franklin I guess issues. So that is what I go to first. I guess the next part has to be like the defense this year. It's funny because I think all the failures are this year, Ron. Like I don't know if there were failures last year, other than like not retaining like guys like Harrison Wallace and what's the other kid's name? That went to Auburn.
It was Trey Wallace and I don't even remember the other one's name.
Yeah, whoever Lambert.
Lambert. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So like the issue is like, or one went to Ole Miss, one went to Auburn. The issue is those two kids, like not retaining those two kids, obviously hurt them last year because they were Keandre Lambert-Smith away from being in the national title last year, and they weren't, and he was there in the spring. So that's another one of the failures. So I got the running backs, the receiver thing, which is so wild because like James Franklin is a receiver coach and couldn't get good receivers at Penn State. Disgusting. Number 3 is the Jim Knowles hire and kind of what they allowed him to run amok. I don't know if you caught the moment on TV where I guess after the Oregon game, James Franklin asked Jim Knowles to speak to the team about recovering after a loss to Oregon and going on a run. You know what Jim Knowles said? He said, "No, thank you." He said, "I'm good." And it's like, that is like, oh, like, that's your boss asking you to do that.
Well, yeah, what's he going to do? Get in front of the team? Like, yeah, after we lost to Oregon, right? Ryan Day came and cut my nuts off and took over my defense, and I ran away and came and took this job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is he? Is he going to go tell them the truth that, hey, Ryan Day grabbed Jim Knowles and said, hey, buddy, your play sheet is too long, and it's taking too long to get these damn calls in. Sonny Styles talked about it on the Downs to Business podcast, talking about how stressful it was having the green dot on the mic because it took so long to get plays to get sent in. And you see the confusion that it caused in that Oregon game when they were running those bunch sets and they couldn't get the defense lined up.
Yeah, so I guess like I guess not doing due diligence in Jim Knowles or like letting Jim Knowles kind of run amok and not checking him. I think maybe that has got to be on the failure list. And then I guess the top thing is the marriage of Kotelnicki and Drew Aller was one of the worst marriages and of all time. Like if you were gonna let Andy Kotelnicki continue to be Andy, send Drew elsewhere and let Perbula go do it, right?
It'd be like, becoming the coach of Shaq and being like, you know what? Threes are worth more than twos, big fella. I need you to start jacking up some threes. Like, what?
Right.
Like, not the person for this.
Yeah, Andy Kotelnicki being the offensive coordinator is the equivalent of Shaq with Daryl Morey trying to play small ball. Same thing.
Kris, we have a few more topics before we get out of here, but we have a quick message from our sponsors.
Hey guys, we got a lot of cool stuff going on the channel right now, so make sure you like and subscribe. Obviously, Ron and Q are doing a great job going daily for the Buckeye Roast, and then me and Tyler are sprinkled throughout the week doing all things Ohio sports. The channel hit 3,000 subs super quickly, and we couldn't do that without you guys, and we want to continue to grow. So make sure you like and subscribe, and we appreciate you guys as always. What does my little brother do? He goes, peace.
Kris, I don't know who that guy is, but I appreciate
it's the Conor McGregor. Who the fuck is this guy?
Who the fuck is this guy? Kris, we've talked many of times about doing a podcast, a book, an episode, something about the lore around Ohio State and some of our favorite, little things that happen behind the scenes throughout the Ohio State season that end up becoming stories that live forever. And I have a piece of Ohio State lore that I wanted to share with you to discuss because I thought it was fitting.
Oh God, this is something I absolutely have to know about. 2006, Ohio State University played Michigan. This fucking photo of you on the sideline at Ohio State, truly one of the greatest photos of all time.
Well, this is a special moment, Bo. I already knew what photo you're going to bring up. This is a special moment because you're the first person to ever ask me about this photo. Even though this photo has surfaced the internet.
No way,
50
actually?
different times. Yes, you're the very first person to ask me about it.
Please tell me in detail what is going through your mind in this photo.
To Ohio State for a visit. I think it was right after my season in high school. So I'm freelancing. I don't have to worry about getting back and being on point. So my two very good friends, they went to the Ohio State University and they're a year older than me. So they were already in college. So I was like, oh, perfect. I'm going to take a visit to Ohio State and go out with my buddies the night before and then go to the game. And we go out to like 2, 3 a.m. to some frat houses playing beer pong, all that good stuff. I'll just say I was drinking water because I was only 18 years old at the time. So it was just water, but I was feeling good off the water.
Yeah.
And we were walking down the street. I think we got in 2 fights as well. We threw a couple haymakers. Yeah.
Wow.
My friend was getting demolished. I came over and cleaned this guy up. And then I was almost, getting demolished as well. He came back and cleaned them up for me. So we had a little brawl, as well, which was fun. That's the whole, point of these visits as well.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's recruiting visits at Ohio State.
Get into, and this was before the cameras. This was right before, so I'm glad I got it out.
Kris, you're tapped in with parents. Is that what recruiting visits at Ohio State are all about?
No, that's for the guys that like to speed run CTE. That's like him and Cam Scadaboo belong in the same Hall of Fame.
They both went to school in Arizona. Something in the water down there.
They did, yeah, the water, because they're only 18. That's so fried. You know what position they asked Gronk to be?
No.
Tackle. That's why it was never a serious thing. They wanted Gronk to be a tackle.
Do you know where Gronk went to high school?
I don't.
One town over from Bron James, I could roll a golf ball into Gronk's town where he went to high school. He transferred in for one season to play for one of the most legendary high school coaches in Pennsylvania history. It was nothing sketchy about it whatsoever. It was totally above board. That's why his whole family stayed in Buffalo while he came to, Turtle Creek, PA to play football.
All above board.
Allegedly. You don't have to say allegedly when you don't accuse a crime, right?
Right. What's it allegedly?
But yeah, Kris, I wanted to share that on the episode with you because, Ohio State lore is something that we always talk about. And we're talking about a WPIAL great and Terrell Pryor to start the show. And I figured we'd squeeze in another WPIAL great in Rob Gronkowski. All right, one more trivia question before we move on from the Gronk topic. Can you name the Hall of Famer that went to the same high school as Rob Gronkowski?
No. I do not even have that one close to being in the tank.
Jason Taylor.
Oh,
Gronk, Jason Taylor, Joy Taylor all went to the same high school, Woodland Hills High School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
and then where one of them ended up. All roads lead to Akron.
yes, that's where Jason Taylor went, right?
Yeah, he's him and Charlie Fry both have their numbers retired. Shout out Akron.
Absolutely. Shout out Akron. Yeah, I heard they had a really good high school basketball player there, LeBron James.
Yeah. and they've got elite academics for athletes at the university.
No, we got to talk about it. I'm sorry you brought it up. Kris, I've been working on an Akron rebuild now since college football 2026 has come out, and I've yet to get them to 5 stars because their academic prestige is an F-, and you're not allowed to edit that grade. There's nothing that you can do that could bring it up, and it's constantly an F, impacting your star rating. And I'm still not even sure that getting Akron to 5 stars is possible on that game. I think I'm like 13 seasons deep into my Akron Dynasty, and it's probably like my 7th one, and I've yet to get that program to 5 stars because of their academic rating.
Well, they got a bowl ban this year, so I think the F rating is appropriate.
You know anyone that's ever went to school there?
I went to school there.
That was the layup.
Oh. I was like, yeah, me and my mom at the same time.
Also, and Kris likes to be humble. Kris was a student athlete at Akron as well.
He played some rugby there.
Most people don't.
Yeah, played some rugby there.
Most people don't know that Kris was. Yeah, that Kris was a borderline. We're gonna stretch the truth. Olympic level rugby player.
Yeah. I got invited. I did like one workout with some people that were way better than me. I knew it was over. But at Akron, I was really good at Akron. I was really good in high school. At offense, defensive liability. But offense, I could do it because I played soccer. And like that was it. It was like if you kicked the ball, they couldn't hit you. And it was like, all right, you're running towards me. I'm going to kick the ball over your head and just beat you to it. So no, I was a pretty decent rugby player at the University of Akron until I started waking up as a 19-year-old and my back was in shambles. I could feel it doing an S. It didn't feel good. It was time to hang up the jersey.
You and Alona Mar in an Oklahoma drill. Who wins?
Not me.
For those of you who don't know, Alona Mar is like the Derrick Henry of the United States women's rugby team. If you've never seen her, go check her out. Her highlights are better than some football players. They're insane.
Yeah, she's got it 100%.
Kris,
she's got it.
As much as I would love to continue to recap your Hall of Fame Division I athletic career, we have Kris, Hall of Fame Division I athlete, me, Hall of Fame Twitter coach. Some of us are blessed, some of us are here. Last question of the day, Kris. Brian Hartline's name has been floated with this Penn State job a ton lately, and I just wanted to get your replacement hot board. If Brian Hartline were to leave, it seems like something that's inevitable. If Ryan Day isn't going anywhere and the ultimate goal is to be the head coach at Ohio State, you would imagine that Hartline spreads his wings eventually. He interviewed for the West Virginia job last year. His name is being associated with the Penn State job now. It may not be this year. It may not be next year. If he's smart, he'd wait until after Jeremiah left. Kris, who is your hot board or your list of coaches that you would like to see at Ohio State potentially replace Brian Hartline if he were to ever leave us?
It's funny because like you floated this one to me. Like I think I would call JT Barrett and interview him and just see how much he knows about the passing game. Because like in the NFL, you got to know a lot about all the passing elements to even kind of dabble to that world. And you see guys like jump around, obviously. In fact, most wide receiver coaches were at one point quarterback coaches, but that would be kind of a little bit of a stretch. I also would give Kenny Guyton a call. I think he definitely deserves a call. I know this might sound crazy, dude, but I would call Hines Ward and see what Hines Ward feels about kind of taking a leap. Right now, he's at Arizona State. The Arizona State receivers year over year have been very, very good. So I think I would start there at least. And then kind of try to figure it out. I mean, obviously, like you know how I feel about Russell Shepard, the Bama wide receiver coach. who I think is incredible. I mean, he was with that Washington room that I thought was fantastic. So
that was Q's pick yesterday.
That's been my guy for a while. Like I've been a Russell Shepard guy for a while. I mean, shoot, dude, he had like that room at Washington. Puka Nacua wasn't good enough to play in. So it's like that's like a Brian Hartline West kind of story. So I would see what it takes to get him too. So that would kind of be my start. I don't know if you know, but do you know what Mike Shanahan's position is? He's a receiver guy.
No.
So, and that's the offensive coordinator to Indiana. I would just see what he's looking for in life. Because if you've got a chance to arm your room again and take away from Indiana, I think that's a win.
Oh, you're thinking in the potential OC role. See, when I'm asking replace, and I should have probably you're in that scenario. You're talking about OC and wide receivers coach.
Yeah. Because that's what he is at Indiana, wide receiver and OC, and it's just like the more seamless fit.
Yeah, my only concern there is I really want an OC that doesn't have a position room. Now that we have the ability to have on-field coaches and there's no real cap, I would like to see, if Brian Hartline were to leave, I would like to see another situation where we have an offensive. I mean, Chip was the quarterback coach last year, but like that's Ryan's room. Like,
well, yeah. So I guess like for that to happen, like you would need like Brian to take one with him. But like, if it's just Brian, like, doesn't Mike Shanahan make a ton of sense?
Oh yeah, but I was also considering the situation or a scenario where, yeah, in that scenario you would need Brian to take someone with him, or a scenario where Ryan goes out and gets a wide receiver coach and another offensive coordinator in two separate roles.
Okay, yeah. So I guess,
and then
I mean,
go ahead.
I mean, my list stays the same though. Probably, I think
for sure. I've been looking. I love giving you these random like mid-season requests of like, hey, it's like, hey, I have this random list of people. Can you find someone that fits that criteria? And I'm always interested in the list that you come up with. And I really like the list of names that you came up with there. Another name that I thought about, Leonard Hankerson, the wide receivers coach for the 49ers, played at Miami, played at St. Thomas Aquinas. I just wonder how comparable the pay for the wide receivers coach at Ohio State at Hartline, when he was just the wide receivers coach before, or in co-OC, was making around 1.6. Not quite sure what they make as position coaches in the NFL, how comparable that would be if you would be able to poach someone for a potential lateral move, but is it really lateral at Ohio State? And then you brought up Hines Ward, another name that jumped out to me on the list of NFL wide receiver coaches. Antoine Randall-El is a wide receivers coach. Those two combined for a Super Bowl MVP moment in a Super Bowl together. So those would be fun names. Just the Steeler fan in me like.
Well, let me just like Hines Ward was great at what? Like, what was the one thing he was incredible at with Pittsburgh?
Blocking.
Yeah. His guys at Arizona State, they block really well, and they are very, very polished, and he's also a younger coach as well. So, like, I like the idea of him, and he's already a proven, like, college. I mean, shoot, this is going to be a Hartline versus him social media battle for who's wide receiver one in the draft, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm not even worried about his ability to recruit, because you see the guys that he has at Arizona State. But I grew up in Pittsburgh. Hines Ward was one of those perpetually outside. And what's Coach JB saying about recruiting, Kris?
If you can't get a pretty girl, you're a bad recruiter. That's the PG version.
That is the PG version, but Hines Ward had the bad ones back in the day, so I would imagine he's quite the recruiter on the trail, at least by Coach JB standards.
Facts.
Kris, that's all I have today, man. It was awesome to do a show with you here on the platform. We kind of joke that we have been creating together for so many years, but don't do a ton of content long form on screen together. The thing that people get from us most consistently is the Bleacher Report episodes, which is usually the most antiseptic version of us, because it is us in our most professional versions of ourselves there. So you get, a more dialed in analysis post game for us on Bleacher Report, but you get a more laid back version of us here on the roast or on other versions of the show on Dead Air Sports. So I really appreciate you joining us. Let them know about where they can find you on this channel, Kris, and the types of content that you do over here when you're not at Menace.
Right now, obviously, me and Tyler are doing a show 3 to 4 times a week, so that's a blast, obviously. And then I've been doing a lot more like just solo content, kind of spreading my wings a little bit and kind of giving my commentary on like college athletics and just sports in general. And I've been able to do that because like Ron and Q have been really awesome with this show. So really, I mean, I try to put my face on every single thumbnail that I'm on solo doloing, because I'm a narcissist. So if you see my face on things, I mean, that's likely going to be me giving my thoughts on other creators, like things that I like, things that I don't like. And then my general take in kind of the sports world. So I'm here. I try to like put on a piece of content every single day. Obviously like Ron and Q do a really big time job on this show. And they've been a huge help. So just kind of like creating and seeing where it goes. And you can catch me on this channel. Whatever you click on, it's either going to be me or Ron kind of chopping it up. So yeah, that's it. That's my little soliloquy.
Absolutely. And if you want to find me, you can find me right here on Dead Air Sports Monday through Friday on the Buckeye Roast, normally with my guy Q, sometimes with special guest Kris Drew. You can also catch me and Kris. If you liked what you saw, you could catch up the buttoned up version of us on Bleacher Report on Saturdays for post games. Kris and I have been doing instant reactions and post games on Bleacher Report for now. This is our 3rd season doing it. So you can catch Kris doing some micro content for Bleacher Report throughout the week in the Ohio State team stream. And then you can catch us post games on the Bleacher Report app. So be sure to download that and look for us. And then you can catch me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TES. And if you want to join in on the conversation of who the best high school athlete that you've ever seen is, let us know in the comments. Kris, you know how this thing ends. It's always go Bucks. And of course, OH.
I-O.
When I hit the scene, everybody know me. 40 tuck in my skinny jeans. I'm so fucking low key. All hundreds, finna go get some cream. Just another show week. It's a show week. Out the 7 days, I gotta pick up 40. Mama told me, baby, get you some sleep. Gotta turn down, move slow, please. I go home, rock my son to sleep. Gotta stay awake, get more of these. Nigga, you mad cause you ain't getting no cheese. Whole hood charge you whole fee. Sometimes there's no one to watch over me. Too broke, can't get close to me. Send an op, say hello to me. Never respect when approaching me. And don't act like you don't know it's me. Know that bitch somewhere close to me. And I ain't got no reason to be on that. You the one to vent your homie. Even though I really be on that. Beat a nigga up if you want that. You can't even buy a whole lunch, Jack. Better get a clock and punch that. Used to run my hood like a rugrat. We went to war with one guy. Ain't lying, we'll go, they come back. All on defense, we bust back. So they want me whack. How they shots out the back of the lat. I spit that shit that you get had to and make you want clap after that. Then drop some shit that make you contemplate on it after the fact. Rap about the shit you living, nigga, what happened to that? I don't give a fuck about the rap game no more, nigga, I'm after the check. I ain't with the rap beef, nigga say my name once, I'm after his neck. Reach for 150, I'm